Salisbury in France is the venue, the championship is the Rotax Max Euro Challenge, and titles are to be decided here this afternoon. The first of which is going to come from DD2. We've just heard from the drivers down on the grid and the way the championship looks after pre-final early this morning, and the way the championship is after drop scores is now as follows. It sees Sean Babington leading the way on 205 points. He has a 6-point margin over Ben Cooper, now second in the championship. They're in third place. Is going to be Jordan Lennox-Lamb after dramas earlier in pre-final. He's now on 192 points, and with an outside chance now is going to be Andreas Bachmann, fourth in the championship on 186. So it's very tight at the front. We've got the two title contenders on the front row of the grid, with Sean Babington winning earlier on in the pre-final. He's got Ben Cooper alongside on the front row. Sean not choosing to get in the kart just yet, waiting until the final few minutes to get in. We've got 1 minute until the race gets underway with its formation lap. And just to very quickly bring you up to date with what happened in pre-final, there were 3 drivers that were penalised 10 seconds due to unfair driving apparently. So those 3 drivers get 10 seconds added to their time and they drop down the grid. Those being 612 Patrick Pearce, 665 Jordan Lennox-Lamb, and also 626 Anthony Abbas. So all of those 3 are going to have to work themselves through the field from around about outside the top 20 of the grid. So they're going to have work cut out in this final race, but it is their final encounter in terms of the championship this year, in beautiful conditions at the French circuit, and the karts very shortly to head off on their warm-up lap here at Salisbury.
Firing up the engines then are the drivers, 30 of them, ready for the DD2 final here at Salisbury, the final round of the Rotax Max Euro Challenge. So the 2 main championship contenders are on the front row of the grid. Sean Babington is on pole on dropped scores. By my reckoning, he's got a 6-point advantage over Ben Cooper, the driver alongside him. Inseparable this season. They were first and second in the championship last season. Good friends, as Ben Cooper was saying on the grid, come through karting together. Equally good drivers, equally worthy champions. Sean has been a champion 2 years ago in seniors. Ben last year in the Euros in the DD2. And various British titles and world titles between them as well. So on drop scores, 6 points the advantage, I reckon, for Sean. 205 for him, 199 for Ben Cooper. That means that if Sean finishes in the top 3, he's done it, whatever else happens, because if he finishes in the top 3, nobody can outscore him by 6 points. If he finishes 4th and Ben Cooper were to win, they'd have exactly the same points. They'd have exactly the same number of wins, 1 apiece, and then it would go down to who's had the most second-place finishes, and that would be Ben Cooper. So just something to bear in mind. Might not go that way, but we'll see. Jordan Lennox-Lamb, because he had his worst pre-final of the season so far, with that penalty being applied, he won't count that towards his points, so he drops that one, but it does drop him further away. He's got 192 points, so he's 13 behind them now. In terms of the Masters division, the point situation now looks like this. 109 points for Martin Pearce, 59 points for Christoph Adams, 55 for Tamsin Germain. So essentially a 50-point lead for Martin Pearce. It means that unless Christoph Adams goes and wins the race outright and he has no points, then really there's nothing that he can do to stop Martin Pearce. But there's only 4 points between Christoph Adams and Martin in this battle for between Christoph Adams and Tamsin Germain in this battle for second in the championship. There's the grid on the screen then. Babington and Cooper on row 1, VM and Kalesis on row 2, Ludi and Earden next up, row 4, Bachmann and Beji, row 5, Santoro and Christensen, and then on row 6, Alexis Corso and Guillaume Berthaud, who's going to retire from racing at the end of this season, so this is his last big race. They're 12th on the grid as the best master. Enrique Baptista, Maxi Fleischmann next up on the 7th row of the grid. On the 8th row, Konstantin Scholl and Patrick Pearce. On the 9th row, Tom Pitlick and Martin Pearce, who is on course for the Masters title. And then we have on the 10th row of the grid, Christoph Adams and Alessandro Bisotto. On the 11th row, Julien Renaudin and Jordan Lennox-Lamb is just going to come charging through, I imagine, and give it everything here to see how high up the championship he can finish. Cristobal Garcia Ramos and Christian Loft on row 12. Row 13, Tamsin Germain and Yoey Vonk. The penultimate row, row 14, Anthony Abbas will be one to watch. He's a flying driver as well. Frank Rizal. And the final row, Luca Kamali and Josh Collins, who both failed to finish in the pre-final. The pre-final, of course, setting the grid for the final. Almost ready then, Matt. This is it. Down to you to talk us through the start of the race.
It was a cracking pre-final. Let's see if it's going to be an even better final then for DD2. Ben Cooper and Sean Babington on the front row with Sean on pole. 14 laps of action about to get underway, which we now have as they run down towards turn 1. Ben Cooper gets a fairly good start on the outside row as he heads down, but look at Damien Wiem right down the inside of Ben Cooper at turn number 2. They nearly make contact into the corner, but Ben Cooper has got himself into that second place, and we reckon he's on the new tyres, of course, because Sean Babington was off early on with the new tyres. We've got a spinner at turn 3. We'll try and work out who that is.
Damien Wiem from the second row of the grid, right at the back of the field. He rejoins.
And Ben Cooper's got the lead of the race through the chicane as they head down towards turn number 6. He managed to get through somehow, and Sean Babington under attack from everybody else behind as they work their way down through the left-hander now. Ben Cooper has got out in front by about 4 or 5 carts in this early stage of the race. So he works his way now down towards turn 8. Ben Cooper leads. Sean Babington is there in second place. Then the rest trying to work their way through. Brian Eden could have possibly got himself into third spot here, but it's been a great start from our top 2, but somehow Ben Cooper got his way through the chicane and ahead, and Sean Babington just lost out by a very, very small margin indeed. In third place is going to be coming through this time. We'll try and work out, it's Philippus Calasius, in fact, who's jumped up from 4th on the grid, so a good start from him as they complete lap number 1, and in 4th place is going to be Brian Eden, so he did get a good start. They work their way down towards turn 2 for the second time, and straight away Ben Cooper goes very defensive in towards turn 2, and everyone now is all over the back of him.
Yeah, Sean Babington would be feeling a bit edgy with everybody breathing down his neck here. It doesn't matter if Ben Cooper beats him in this one. If Sean stays second, if Sean stays third, he'll still win the title, I reckon, on drop scores. But Philippos Calasius there in third place. Looks menacing, on course for his first podium of the season. The Greek driver has gone sensationally well so far this season. You've heard from him on RGMMC TV down there on the grid and in the interview we filmed earlier in the weekend. He's driving really well here in the VPDR run kart. Here they all come then, huddled together. If you're of a nervous disposition, don't worry, there's only 15 laps to go to try and work this all out. So fantastic stuff already. Feeling edgy, isn't it? But Ben Cooper has got his nose in front. Sean Babington in second place. They were first and second in the pre-final. Ben led in the middle of the race. Sean got him back at the end of the race. And a tussle, a little tap there onto the back end of Ben Cooper as Sean just misjudges his braking and now goes for the move, goes for the lead of the race. But the door is closing. He's been squeezed, but he's got through. He's got his foot in the door. Ben Cooper runs wide. Calasius goes through. Price is trying to go through as well. Round the outside he goes, trying to hang on to this position here. He's going to stay third, but he will lose 2 places. Calasius gets ahead of him, so it's Babington that leads. Calasius followed him through. Smart bit of driving that from the Greek. Ben Cooper just gave it everything there to hang on to third. He's got a great run coming through the chicane and into turn 6. Ben Cooper goes down the inside of the Greek driver to get second place back. Backman's had a terrific start to the race. He's there in 4th. Brian Eden is 5th. Alex Beggi is 6th. Michael Christensen has shot up through the field into 7th. Then it's Corso. And then it's Guillaume Berthaud. Tremendous drive by the Masters leader in 9th place overall. And Santoro and then Ludi 10th and 11th with Pierce in 12th place and 2nd in the Masters division.
And what Ben Cooper was trying to do there was bunch everybody up because, as you said, he leads or follows Sean Babington by 6 points in the championship. So he knows Sean needs to finish 4th or worse for him to get the championship. So he's trying to get everyone bunched together. So moves are going to be made. This time they go through with Babington and Cooper your top 2. Andreas Bachmann is 3rd. Philippos Calasius is there in 4th place. And they've gradually just broken away now from the 5th place man, which is Brian Eden. There goes Ben Cooper. There's contact between himself and Sean Babington. Sean gets pushed wide. Ben Cooper goes to 3rd. Andreas Bachmann now leads the race in this one, and Sean Babington has gone from 1st to 4th place, and whether there was contact through turn number 3 is going to be for the stewards to decide. But Andreas Bachmann leads. He comes out the best in all of that fighting. 2nd place now is Philippus Calasius up there with a great drive so far and could be on for one of his best performances so far this year. 3rd place dropping down is Ben Cooper in the red and white machine, the reigning champion from last year's DD2 championship, and it looks like Sean Babington is now down to 4th place and he's just dropped off the trio of cars up the road. So they'll work their way through very slow there from the 5th place man, which I think was Brian Eden, and Sean Babington's got a problem. The championship leader, it's over for him here at Salisbury.
Babington's got a problem. I wonder if it was to do with what happened earlier in the lap. He cannot believe it. Missed out on the championship by a point last year, by 1 point, and he's out of the race. The kart retires down at turn number 10 and thoroughly dejected. Sean Babington walks away. That becomes, of course, his dropped score. So whatever happens now, it's going to be 229 points is his maximum score. So needing 30 points or more is Ben Cooper here to wrap this up. That means that he needs to, well, just really be in the top half of the field. 23rd place would give him the 30 points, but Ben's not finished the race yet. The race isn't done yet. Andres Batman's really got into the mix of this race, hasn't he? Philippos Kalesis as well. Cooper is splitting them again, though. So Cooper in second place as it stands. So Batman leads, Cooper second, Kalesis in third. Then a gap back to, that's Brian Earden in fourth position. Alex Beji is going well in fifth. Michael Christensen still up there in the top six. Anthony Abbas from nearly at the back of the field. He's up into the top 10. He's up to seventh place, in fact. So Anthony Abbas absolutely storming through the order. The other one that had been coming up through the order is Jordan Lennox-Lamb as well. So Jordan's up to ninth place now and could still win this championship. It's still possible for him, so he's just got to go for it, see what happens. But one of the main rivals out. Guillaume Berthaud still leads the Masters. He's 11th, but he's 5 places clear of Christoph Adams, who is 16th, and Martin Pearce, who is third in class and 17th.
Jordan Lennox-Lamb has just made up another place that time round. He's gone now into 8th place past Dario Santori, so he's done well to continue to make progress in this one. Andreas Bachmann is still our race leader in this race at the minute. We've got 10 laps to go at the end of the lap here. So Andreas Bachmann, Ben Cooper and Philippos Kalesis now well ahead of everyone else. The top 3 make their way down towards the final corner. Brian Eden is there in 4th place. 5th place then is Alex Beji at the minute. We've got Michael Christensen, Anthony Abbas and now Jordan Lennox-Lamb all very, very close together in the fight for 6th place. They go across the line. Jordan Lennox-Lamb is going to be the one to try and make a move here. They head their way down towards the corner. Straight away, Jordan goes for the move down the inside. He gets past that of Anthony Abbas and now finds himself into 6th place. So as you said, Chris, this championship not yet over for Jordan Lennox-Lamb. He's got a very quick cart out there at the minute. He's now passed into 6th place and he's got Alex Beji and Brian Eden up the road. Top 3 on their way though, down the back straight they've gone, in now towards turn number 7. And Ben Cooper, he probably knows what's happened to Sean Babington, but he's not going to sit back in this race. He's all over the tail of Andreas Bachmann just by a quarter of a second.
Stays like this, Cooper's going to win. Lennox-Lamb is going to finish second in the championship, but that's if it stays like this. There's still 10 laps to go. Lennox-Lamb's just got to keep pushing like crazy because he still has a chance at this. Batman, though, leading the race, and Andres Batman, who started the season so well in the Winter Cup, doing a terrific job here. And we've got 2 off down at turn number 10. Michael Christensen is one of them in the 6.38 cart and rejoins about 2/3 of the way down the order now. The race leader goes through. Batman has got a 4/10 of a second lead. Cooper is second. Kalesis, Eden, Beji, and now Lennox-Lamb complete the top 6.
Yeah, those two that were off. Those two that were off last time round then was the car of Michael Christensen. So Michael Christensen is right down there at the minute. Then he's got work to do to try and work his way back through the field. But Andreas Bachmann on the way back through the field now, leading this race ahead of Ben Cooper. 3/10 of a second now ahead of our second place man. Philippos Kalesis there in 3rd place. Those 3 all off the straight down at turn 8.
News just in, and this is important. 2 drivers are going to be given a 5-second penalty for driving standards, which will be added onto their time at the end of the race. One of them is Philippos Kalesis. The other is Ben Cooper in 2nd place at the moment, but with a 5-second penalty added onto his time, it puts him down in about 6th place, and he knows in 6th place, don't you? His title rival, Jordan Lennox-Lamb. So 5-second penalty already is going to be applied. It won't show on the timing screens, it won't show on your graphics, but it is going to be added on at the end of the race. So the drivers in 2nd and 3rd now need to pull away as much as they can from the group behind to enable them to maybe still stay in the top 3, even with the 5 seconds included. You've got Jordan Lennox-Lamb right onto the tail of Brian Eden now on the way into turn 6, and he doesn't get through there, but I think it's a matter of time before Jordan fires his way through. Jordan, remember, at the very, very start of the season, had a tremendous drive through from the middle of the pack to win it round the outside going into turn 8. He does it ahead of Brian Eden, and Jordan Lennox-Lamb now, with yet another fantastic charge through the field, finds himself up in 4th place. So every single one of the 3 championship contenders has had some sort of drama or another in the pre-final or the final, including Jordan Lennox-Lamb, who had that contact and then got penalised as a result of that, but he's there in 4th place. Over the line, Batman leads this one, and of course he leads it by a long way now because the 2 right behind him are going to get 5-second penalties. Cooper, with the 5 seconds applied, is just about going to be in 5th place. So it'd be, no, 4th place. It'd be Bachmann, And then it'll be Jordan Lennox-Lamb who comes up to second place, I reckon. Cooper and Coleses. If Jordan Lennox-Lamb can close the gap further still here, and that be within 5 seconds of the two ahead, he'll get second in the race.
So Jordan Lennox-Lamb now is going to be the surprise package in this race and also in terms of the championship. But can he get enough ahead of Ben Cooper to try and get more points? He's a fair way back in terms of points, so he needs to finish quite a few places up the road. So we'll try and do the calculations as much as possible. But Andreas Bachmann is the man who leads at the minute then, as Chris said, by a healthy margin now with the 5 seconds applied to Ben Cooper and Philippus Calasius. But with a clear track ahead of him, Jordan Lennox-Lamb now in 4th place on track, but should be classified as second by the time we get to the end of the race. We'll have to try and work that out for you. 5th place then is Brian Eden. Anthony Abbas is there in 6th place as they head their way across the line now. We've got Alex Beggi in 7th place and a great scrap at the minute going on for 8th place, which now sees Kevin Ludi at the head of it. We've got also in there as well Enrique Baptista in that blue machine. He's made it up to 9th place, and they're in 10th place is number 624 at the minute. Great drive from that man, doing great stuff here this weekend so far. And Alexis Corso works his way now through turn number 4, but after a very eventful start, after seeing Sean Babington out of the race with problems with the car after contact possibly with Ben Cooper, the penalty now been applied to Ben Cooper, that drops him down and really does turn this race on its head. We're over half race distance and we are now working our way round lap number 11. 5.5 to go as Andreas Bachmann comes back into our sight down towards turn number 10. There in second place on track is Ben Cooper. Last time round he did a fairly slower lap than Andreas, and it's Andreas who holds the quickest lap of the race, 60.927 as he comes through now on to lap number 12, who are about to begin.
Even with the 5-second penalty applied, even if he finishes 1 or 2 places behind Jordan Lennox-Lamb, Ben Cooper would still win the championship, because coming into this race on the dropped scores, he is 7 points clear of Jordan Lennox-Lamb. Now Jordan needs to beat him by 7 or 8 points, by 7 points actually, because he's got the 1 race win. So it changes a bit further down the order, just outside the top 6 for 5th place there, between Anthony Abbas and Brian Eden. Keep swapping positions, but Andreas Bachmann leads. And now with the 5-second penalty applied, it would be Jordan Lennox-Lamb who moves up to 2nd place, Cooper's 3rd, Coleses is 4th, so they're still clear of Eden and Abbas. So Jordan Lennox-Lamb is going to outscore his title rival Ben Cooper by a place, by a point, but it's not, well, by a few points actually. He'll get 52 points for 2nd, and Ben Cooper would get 50 for 3rd, but that would only bring the gap down to 5 points. So Ben Cooper is still in with the championship here. The fastest lap has gone to Jordan Lennox-Lamb though. The top 3 charging through here with less than half a second to choose between them. But of course, the 5-second penalty applied means that Andreas Bachmann, in reality, although he won't know it, has got a huge lead. We've got a kart slowing down at turn 10, dropping out of the race and looking devastated. That's number 632, Alex Beggi, who was going well at the start of the race. So Alex Beggi drops out. Guillaume Berthaud in the top 10 now in his last big race before he retires, leads the Masters. Christoph Adams is 2nd in the Masters in 13th place. Tamsin Germain is 18th and 3rd in the Masters. So if it stays like this, Martin Pearce, I think he's just nursing it home, isn't he, to make sure he gets not excluded from the race. So Martin's a long way down, but he's going to win the title. It looks like Christoph Adams will finish 2nd to him.
There'll be yellow flags then down towards turn number 10 for our leaders, with that cart of Alex Beggi just sitting there for the time being. We've got Andreas Bachmann that's up there in the front of the race at the minute. Ben Cooper sits in 2nd place. Philippus Calasius there in 3rd. And look now at the times from Jordan Lennox-Lamb. He just went through last time to do the quickest lap of the race. So he's gaining lap after lap, 60.582 that time through. So even quicker once again. He still sits on the track in 4th, but 2nd place overall. We then see Anthony Abbas and Brian Eden in a great scrap at the minute. Those two for 5th and 6th places. Kevin Ludi is then in 7th. 8th place for Enrique Baptista. And we see in 9th place still that cart of 624, Alexis Corso. And as Chris said, Masters man inside the top 10 now. Leader of that class, Julian Berthaud. 2nd in class down in 13th place is Christoph Adams. And 3rd, and going pretty well at the minute, 18th place overall for Tamsin Germain. So it's not looking too bad for her. Finally, hopefully, the car is sorted for this one, and we'll see if we can get her on the podium for the Masters. Andreas Bachmann, though, on his way back through for another time, but look at this now. Ben Cooper closing and closing. It won't mean anything in terms of the final classification. If he can get ahead on track, that'd be great news for him.
I wonder if Ben will know he's got his penalty, but what he will know is that the driver in front of him is not somebody who can beat him in the championship. So I don't think Ben is going to be too worried about overtaking Andreas. This has been a great drive by Andreas. I know we've concentrated on the championship fight, but he was 8th on the grid, and the weekend started so well. He got his best pole position, his first pole position in the main Euro Championship at the start of the weekend. Yesterday, he had a really difficult day, and from pole position, his best result was something like a 6th place finish, wasn't it? But the middle was a nightmare. The start was great, and it looks like the end of the weekend is going to be great for Andreas Bachmann. He's not going to win the title, but he might still move up into the top 3 possibly. But I think what's more important to him is that Andreas is on course to take his best ever race win here. He's just got to hang on to this for another lap and a half now. Andreas Bachmann just ahead of Ben Cooper, but Ben Cooper with a 5-second penalty. It looks like Ben's a bit quicker at the moment, but not challenging. Philippos Kalesis is 3rd on the track, but moving ahead of both Cooper and Kalesis once they get their 5-second penalties. Jordan Lennox-Lamb is going to move up to 2nd place. Cooper will be demoted to 3rd. Kalesis, unfortunately for him, will miss out on a podium and will be in 4th place. 1 lap to go in the race then. It's all going the way of Andreas Bachmann in terms of the race win, but Matt, in terms of the championship in the main DD2 category, it looks like it's going the way of Ben Cooper, with Lennox-Lamb looking to be 2nd, and the Masters victory looks like it's going the way of Guillaume Berthaud in 10th place, but the title, after a quiet weekend in Masters, should be on the way to Martin Pearce at the end of this lap.
Leaders then on their way through turn number 6. Andreas Bachmann yet to have a victory this year, yet to have a podium, so it's all looking good here at the final round in Salisbury. He came very, very close last time out at Zuera, but here it looks good. Whatever Ben Cooper does to try and make a move, he's got that 5 seconds to be applied nonetheless. So they work their way down towards turn 10 for the final time, and DD2 is about to be wrapped up with a win by Andreas Bachmann, and the championship looks to be going the way of Ben Cooper. It's been a very good race for him after the demise of Sean Babington earlier on. Through the final corner comes Andreas Bachmann for the win in DD2 here at Salisbury, but the championship for a 2nd year running goes away of number 601. Ben Cooper takes it here this weekend. What a drive, and he said he'd work well at his favourite circuit, and that has definitely been the case. So the 5 seconds very shortly to be applied to his time, so in effect of that, it's going to see Andreas Bachmann as our winner. 2nd place then will go the way of Jordan Lennox-Lamb. A great drive from the middle of the pack in that one. 3rd place still on the podium will be Ben Cooper. And then it looks as well like Philippos Kalesis will get home in 4th with Anthony Abbas there in 5th place. But what a way to crown our first champion. Another great race from DD2, Chris.
It was dramatic. You always sensed that it was going to be one moment, one big thing that would change the course of it, because there was nothing to choose between all 3 of the drivers really this season. An absolute heartbreak for Sean Babington. And my reckoning on the drop score situation, not only is he going to lose the title, I think he's going to wind up down in 4th place. So Ben Cooper with 249, Jordan Lennox-Lamb 244, Andreas Bachmann would shift up to 3rd with 241 points, and Sean Babington dropping to 4th on 229. I think Sean probably doesn't care whether he finishes 2nd, 3rd or 4th. He wanted to win it. He was 1 race away from doing so. I think the discussions will rumble on and on. And well done as well, of course, to our 2 class winners, Andreas Bachmann, and if you can, Matt, be well worth grabbing a word, even if he wants to do it in French, with Guillaume Berthaud in his last ever race, getting that victory in the Euro Challenge. And, of course, Martin Pearce should, subject to all the confirmations, etc., win the Masters division ahead of Christophe Adams and Tamzin Germain. But Andreas Bachmann there with a really, really mature, strong drive. Started the weekend brilliantly, had some bad luck yesterday, but didn't he come back well to win the race from 8th on the grid? 1 or 2 things happened ahead of him, but it's so often the case, isn't it, when you go into the last round of the championship, all eyes are on the championship contenders, and actually it ends up being somebody else that wins the race, that comes through with really nothing, no burden of points to worry about, nothing on their shoulders. Terrific drive as well, wasn't it, from Jordan Lennox-Lamb from way, way, way down the grid. He started 22nd and he finished in 2nd place. That was some drive by Jordan Lennox-Lamb. And also, of course, he did something very similar to that in the very first race of the season. So there, confirmation of the results. Berthaud and Adams, the top 2 in the Masters. But Bachmann, Lennox-Lamb and Cooper, as it stands, our top 3. Because, of course, Ben Cooper and Philippos Kalesis, although they finished 2nd and 3rd, got a 5-second penalty for a driver standards warning. And so Jordan moved ahead of them. Cooper 3rd and Kalesis 4th. Anthony Abbas also with an excellent drive. Abbas from the back of the field through to 5th, with Brian Earden in 6th place. And there, the rest of the results on screen. Frank Roussel and Frey didn't start the race, but everybody else did, 29 of them. And devastation there, down in 29th place for Sean Babington, whose final lasted but a few laps. And after all the work, all the efforts, out of it. So there is confirmation. Looks like my spreadsheet was right, doesn't it? Ben Cooper on the total points with the drop scores. 249 points, as we said, 5 clear of Jordan Lennox-Lamb. Andres Batman moves up to third on 241. Sean Babington drops from first to fourth with 229. Philippos Kalesis comes up to 5th place in the championship standings after a great weekend for the Greek driver. Anthony Abbas will round out the season in 6th place. Brian Earden had a good season in 7th. Michael Christensen had a poor weekend this weekend, but has been quick. He finishes in 8th place. Kevin Ludi moves up to 9th position. And Damien VM, who went out of that race, the confirmation of the provisional point standings here in DD2 with Ben Cooper provisionally the champion, and what a way for Dad to celebrate his birthday.